One, there was validation that the business process can move from US to India because GE had done its own in-house subsidiary by that time. So that part in a way was already proven. And there was also validation that people do outsource call centers because companies like that existed in the US, companies like Convergys. So I think our starting point was fairly well thought through. And the other thing we noticed was that that was the era of internet entrepreneurship in the US. And entrepreneurs like to work with entrepreneurs. We went to new age companies like Amazon, and they, being an entrepreneurial company themselves, were very responsive to the fact that we could deliver a better customer experience from India because we were tapping into a very high quality labor pool. I think once we had Amazon, which was actually known for its customer service, I think our life became much easier because we were able. Amazon, as you would know, gets most of its traffic in fourth quarter of the year, October, November, December. And we were able to ramp up our capacity very, very quickly. So once we were able to make them a referenceable customer, then I think going to the next set of people became far easier. So we had to evangelize India that we are a country with very high quality talent. And then we had to take help of people who had already made a leap of faith, as you said, in Daksh. Unlike many of our peers, we didn't want our people to speak like Americans. We wanted our people to speak in their native language, but speak more clearly and slowly. Indians speak twice as fast as Americans do. So I think we didn't say that we will ape the West. We said that we will do it our way. And as long as you are speaking a clear English, I think customers all over the world would understand. And then we created many layers of telecom infrastructure, satellite, terrestrial, to make sure that the wheels don't come off in the last mile, which was the most sensitive area. So yeah, I would say there was some pioneering work in both this training and building the technology infrastructure. Our culture really had two components. One component was that we were very engaged with our colleagues. We will, in spite of being a privately held company, every quarter we will share financial results with the entire team. So a lot of senior members would do events at night to run people through our performance numbers. So one, there was a lot of transparency and engagement. And two, we gave them a lot of empowerment, which means that there was less need for supervision because they took ownership. And that was one reason why we grew from 0 to 20,000 people, working for some of the best brands in the world, dealing with some of the issues, accent and telecom infrastructure. So my learning is that if you can combine culture with some element of customer centricity, and if you are doing a pioneering work, and if you empower your leadership teams, then all this is a pretty good recipe for building a high quality business. Those constraints become lower level issues. that customer centricity has to be at the core of every company, because if you are a customer centric company, customers don't mind you charging them a little extra premium. So customer centricity has a direct bearing on profitability, which has a direct bearing on sustainability. So sometimes we pursue growth at any cost, and in the quest for leadership. And that also has a reason. Some industries are winner take it all industries. So if you have not become the number one player, then there is a very good chance that you will be irrelevant. So I think customer centricity would be one very important lesson. And the other thing is, any company has three rhythms: growth, efficiency, and foundation. So you have to run these three rhythms concurrently. You can't say that I'll grow today and I'll become efficient tomorrow and I'll put my strong foundation in place day after. So you need a very strong finance function which drives efficiency. You need a very good quality function which drives foundation. And then growth happens. Growth is a default. All of us are programmed for driving growth in a startup. So I think that is one way VCs and entrepreneurs can think of building their business, that be not very unidimensional with growth at any cost, but drive these rhythms concurrently. I think you need a balance. You cannot build a brand in India without investing at least $100 million in advertising and television and digital marketing. But how good is your effectiveness? How good is your repeat rate? Is your service being used? If you don't have those fundamentals right, then marketing is only an accelerator, and it can accelerate you in the wrong direction. So you got to have your foundation right of delivering a great customer experience first, and then on top of that put marketing money to acquire more consumers. But if you don't have a good foundation, then all that marketing money is a waste. So it won't create a very efficient business. So you do need both. You do need money to attract consumers to look at your service, to try your service. But once they come, you should not lose them at all. You should keep them forever. In the organization, have representation for all three rhythms. There should be a custodian for efficiency. So when the marketing manager is saying that I need $100 million, the finance guy should challenge that, why do you need $100 million? Can you do with 50? Can you not do brand? Can you only do digital? Things like that. So I think having three custodians for all the three rhythms, growth, efficiency, foundation, is one way. And two, you have to be aware, you have to be pragmatic that at any one point in time, something or the other will not be working, or you would be emphasizing growth because you don't want a competitor to get ahead of you in terms of scale. So I think there will always be difference in emphasis during different stages of company building. But having those custodians, I think, is the easiest way to create a very sustainable business. Founders today have much bigger aspirations than they would at the time when I was a founder. And they have a lot more risk-taking ability, because India is such a vibrant economy that even if your startup didn't do well, you will still be wanted by a high-quality employer. So the bar on turning an entrepreneur has come down. because more capital has gotten allocated to entrepreneurship in the country. So one trait that is personally very close to my heart is first principles thinking, because I believe that the journey of an entrepreneur is a very turbulent one and no rules have been written. So if you try to apply a rule book in navigating your entrepreneurial journey, there is a pretty good chance that it will not work out. You have to navigate things as they arrive. You have to think differently in a hyper competitive environment. You have to think differently in a capital constrained environment. So you have to keep changing gears very, very quickly. So a good first principle thinker can actually navigate the environment much better than somebody who said that I've done this in my prior life and now I'll come and replicate. So replicators will not work. Original thinkers is a one very important trait. The second trait is somebody who lives by the customer. So who can build an entire company which is very, very customer focused. I think that probably would be the top two that I can think of. You do need a celebrity entrepreneur, but that entrepreneur should have the ability to surround himself with complementary skills, which is where the Brahma and the Vishnu element comes through. So there is somebody who's the visionary, who's the spokesperson, who interfaces with investors, who does strategic thinking. And then there is somebody who minds the store, gets it done day in and day out in terms of execution. But I think building a brand is very, very important, because we are in hyper competitive industries as we speak at this point in time. And if you have done a pioneering effort, then you must talk about it, because it helps you become an employer of choice. It gets you customer contracts. Investors get interested. So I think building a brand is very important, but you have to have a very strong foundation before you start building your brand. And foundation is basically doing the basic things: customer centricity, employee satisfaction. But do we need the CEO to be market facing? The answer is absolutely yes. I think if you look at the Indian tech companies which went public in last 2 years, they're all trending very well in their paths to profitability. So entry valuations in private companies have certainly corrected, because private investors take cues from public market, because that will be their exit eventually. So when public market corrects, even private market corrects. And I think people are more discerning about whom to give their capital to. So there isn't too much of crowding happening in a particular sector. So all this basically means that we are eliminating waste from the system, where multiple people were funded through lots of capital, too much money on marketing, foundation still not being in place, to being very profit oriented, because the counterparties are doing a lot more disciplined work in putting capital to work. These things are very cyclical, and we will see peaks and troughs, and we will see excesses in every cycle. So in the current cycle, I think we are going through a very rational phase of how companies are getting valued. But the challenge is that there aren't too many spots of entrepreneurship in the world other than countries like India. So much of capital is getting allocated to India, and with all the trouble that China is having, all that capital is getting reallocated. So the FOMO will still be in play. There may be a correction, but will this phenomena repeat itself? The answer is absolutely yes. With every new innovation cycle, people will want to take pole positions. And in that pole position, they will end up over-capitalizing entrepreneurs to make sure that their portfolio companies become leaders. So this is cyclical. I think we have to live with this reality. I think this phenomena is a lot sectoral. For example, if you look at one big industry which is evolving, which is digital lending, the failure rate will be much lower because it's not a winner-take-it-all business. It is a lot more diffused. It is the businesses like online retail, where the winner, which is Flipkart and Amazon, take it all, they will still have that 1 in 10. The only thing is that when it is 1 in 10, those 9 should not be getting follow-on capital. You need to experiment, you need to innovate. So 10 companies need to be born. But then there will be one which will emerge from the pack, which should be the recipient of follow-on capital to drive scale. So I think those industries will certainly have very high mortality rate. But the good news about India is there are so many sectors which are not winner take it all, where the mortality rate can be much lower and you can build a sustainable business by itself. You know, our stage is we have a lot more data when we enter as a Series B, Series C investor. I think in our stage, 50% of our portfolio companies should certainly cross the hump for us to do justice to our investors. So yeah, that probably is the ratio. There really are 3 phases. Innovation, which is where AI and quantum is in, and then scaling, which is making its impact across multiple industries like internet has done to transportation, retail. And then third aspect is consolidation. So every industry will go through this cycle, and we are very early in the AI cycle, where foundational things like large language models are being built. But at what stage do we get industry-wise solutions? I think we are some distance away. But if we as VCs and entrepreneurs don't build this muscle early on, then we might miss the bus. So there is also a FOMO angle, that will this happen too quickly and will you be left behind? So I think it is that stuff that we are kind of juggling in real time. Is it too soon to allocate dollars, or will we miss the bus? Oh no, FOMO will always be there. FOMO is a human nature. We are not God. We always get impressed by neighbor's car and things like that. So we are human beings. And I think FOMO is, in some ways, it's a good thing because it drives competitiveness, it keeps companies honest, you don't know what's coming next. So yeah, but no, FOMO is very much around.